my name is Barbara Gilbert and I'm one of the curators at the National Museum of the Royal Navy. I'm here to talk about a jacket, this jacket. Now this jacket has only just entered the collection. We've got plenty of jackets in the collection, so what is special about this one? Well, what is special about this one is that it was worn by one of the Taranto pilots. So the Fleet Air Arm attack on Taranto, 11th of November 1940, was undertaken by 19 Swordfish aircraft, like the one behind me. They had a pilot in each and an observer. He does the navigation. And this was worn by the pilot, and there are the pilot's wings, Bill Sarra, Acting Sub-Lieutenant Air, W.C. Sarra. RN, not RNVR, he was actually Royal Navy. So this came into the collection last week, absolutely delighted to have it with the 80th anniversary of Taranto coming up. We know that it was already in Sarra's possession before the Battle of Taranto because we have the tailor's label in here, which has May 1938 as the date of this uniform being made. It also has his name, W.C. Sarra, on the tailor's label, so no doubt about its provenance whatsoever. It's lovely, it's in well-worn condition, it's lost 2 buttons, so we know that this was used. It's got the medal ribbons on that he was awarded post-World War II, and it's got an oak leaf for his mention in dispatches. Now, we know that Bill Sarra got a mention in dispatches for the attack on Taranto. He did get a second oak leaf for work in the Adriatic a few months later, but I believe that you only ever wear 1 oak leaf. So that is his Taranto oak leaf, his first. The other evidence of medals are the 1939-1945 Star, which shows that he served overseas. The Atlantic Star, so that shows work before Taranto, and the Africa Star. That was probably for work immediately after Taranto, probably when he was based in Decatur, North Africa, and they were working on protecting Malta and Crete at that point. So what can we see about this jacket? Well, we know that it's had lace added because he was a sub-lieutenant at the time of the Battle of Taranto, so that would have been the lace at the time. Pilot's wings, beautiful gold thread, gold wire, with the King's crown, not the Queen's crown that you'd see today. That shows that it is pre-1952. Afterwards, he was promoted to a lieutenant, and so he's got the extra band of lace around there. As I said, we've got buttons missing. We've got 1 missing on that side. If I take away my protective acid free, we've got the top button missing on that side. Otherwise, given its age, the jacket is in pretty good condition. There is evidence of insect damage, and we've got the trace of an old moth case there. I've seen a couple of holes from nibbling. You can't see it well in this light, but in the light in my office, I was able to see traces of a bit of moth damage. So when I take this back to the department after showing it to you, what I'm going to do is I am going to double bag it in polythene, and I am going to freeze it at -30 degrees centigrade for at least 2 weeks. That will kill not only any pests that might be here, maybe tucked in a pocket under a flap, but the eggs that they may have left. It's probably safe, but we don't ever take any chances. There is no way that a jacket that potentially has moth eggs is going into a store where they will hatch and infect every other item. Right, so that's the jacket. Do you want to know about the man and what he did? He was one of the Taranto pilots, I've mentioned that. I have a photograph of Bill as a lovely young sub-lieutenant, and that's how he looked at the time of the Battle of Taranto. What did he achieve in the Battle of Taranto? What did he do to earn his mention in dispatches? Well, he came in from the west. He was part of Ollie Patch's squadron. He was at the back of the squadron. It was night. There was cloud. He was up at 11,000 feet. He lost sight of the squadron. So he made his way in from the west, over the land of Italy to the Gulf of Taranto. He should have been heading for the Mar Grande. Instead, he ended up unable to find his target because bombs were going off everywhere. There was anti-aircraft fire, there was barrage balloons. The place was just a sea of fire. So he pressed on to the Mar Piccolo, where he could see targets, and he bombed the seaplane base in the Mar Piccolo and then headed for home. He sustained an awful lot of anti-aircraft fire to his aircraft. The next day, he found 17 bullet holes in the plane, one of which had actually, there was an in and out where it had gone between his legs. So this was no joke. This was no gung-ho, light-hearted expedition. This was serious business. One of the flare dropper pilots commented afterwards that as a flare dropper, he was ahead and he was higher. He dropped his flares, he could see what was going on, and when he looked down, he could not work out how any of his colleagues were going to survive that